Right, let's take a look at the Mazda 6e. It's the brand's first fully electric sedan and it's arriving in Australia in the middle of 2026. We're taking a drive in an early production car, which is why it's left-hand drive and we're having to drive it on closed roads. Now, is Mazda fashionably late to the EV party or has it nailed it? And what does it have to offer to compete with a raft of new arrivals? Let's have a look at what the 6e has to offer us and take it for a spin. Now, the Mazda 6e is available overseas in a couple of options. You've got all-wheel drive as well as this rear-wheel drive, and you've got a couple of battery sizes. In Australia, we just get rear-wheel drive with a 78 kilowatt-hour battery. Now, Mazda said it's good for over 500 kilometers of electric driving range, but impressively, this will charge from 30 to 80% on an ultra-fast charger in around 15 minutes. So if you need to charge quickly to keep you on your journey, then the 6e is definitely a good option.
The 6e's smart exterior design combines its Kodo soul of motion philosophy with an electric aesthetic featuring a sleek coupe-like silhouette. Key elements include an illuminated grille and a futuristic rear with a full-width light bar. There's Mazda lettering instead of a traditional logo and an electric spoiler. All in all, it presents as a very sophisticated and resolved offering.
And all that detail on the exterior transfers itself onto the interior. There's some lovely premium features in this cabin, not least of which is this fantastic upholstery in this beautiful camel. So we've got this kind of Alcantara and then this leather trim here as well. It really does look pretty special and impressive for the price too. Another big change is this large infotainment screen. We really haven't seen that from the Mazda brand so much on its newer vehicles. However, it's very much following the trend, particularly coming out of China, for the large infotainment screen that controls most of the functions. We have got the heating controls down here, but in terms of some of the other functionality, you're going to need to use this screen to do things like set the wing mirrors. So you're going to want to get that done before you hit the road. We don't know the exact specifications of the cars that will arrive in Australia, but some of the things that you're likely to be able to expect are wireless charging, probably wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, and then a host of functions including navigation as well. This driver information display in front of me here is configurable, and it looks like we can have a navigation map up here, which is really great for keeping your eyes on the road, but still looking at where you're going. There's a nice driving position here too. It's nice and spacious. The seats are really comfortable. The seats again can all be set and managed through the touchscreen, and yeah, it's a pretty nice place to be. Now let's check out the back. So I've got plenty of room back here, loads of leg room, fairly decent headroom, and some great functionality too. Thanks to the Chinese who designed their cars for the rear seat passengers, I can do things like open the sunroof blind from back here. I can also control the heating functions here as well, and even move these seats backwards and forwards. Give myself a little bit of extra leg room. Now, all jokes aside, this is quite a flat feeling second row and it feels quite low in the car too. I think I would prefer it to be a little bit higher up, more like stadium seating, but then obviously I'd lose things like the headroom. So the finishes, it's nice to see these finishes continue throughout the car. There's a nice Mazda logo here, and just lots and lots of details, which I think will make this a really nice place for people to be sitting. Behind the wheel at the Lang Lang Proving Ground, as you can see, I'm on the opposite side of the car. This is a test vehicle which has been brought over from Germany, so it's broadly representative of what's going to arrive here in Australia next year. Just like any electric vehicle, torque is instantaneous. It's got the same basic characteristics as a lot of rear-wheel drive electric cars. However, this is a sedan and a lot of cars that you'll be driving on the market are SUVs, and there's some fundamental differences in terms of how they drive. So this one here sits nice and flat. There's very little roll that you would get typically from an SUV. I've driven some cars quite recently and there's an awful lot of movement in suspension. They're trying to do quite a lot of work to manage that body size and that weight. But this sedan with the battery sitting nice and low underneath the chassis has a really nice feel behind the wheel. It's nice and composed on the road. It's effortless like most electric cars are, and it feels very much like a conventional vehicle. If you've had a Mazda 6 in the past, then I think you're going to find a lot of similarities between the Mazda 6 and this 6e. Obviously, the main differences are things like the infotainment screen and the way that the vehicle presents itself, the advanced driver assistance system. So there's a couple of things working in the background here, but they're not too intrusive. You might just be able to hear a very light little bing as the vehicle thinks that we're heading over the speed limit. This car is fitted with a Michelin tyre. It's likely that that's going to be a production tyre. It's a 19-inch rim, and that really helps to contribute to managing how the car feels on the road. There's quite a lot of different road surfaces here at Lang Lang, so we're able to replicate the kind of driving that most Victorians will do. Now there's a rumble there that's designed into the road to test the car as the engineers are working on them, so it acquitted itself pretty well here. There's some puddles to drive through here, but it's maintaining its composure really nicely. We can accelerate pretty quickly. There's a few drive modes that are selectable in this car. So there's a comfort mode. There's also a sport mode, which will stiffen up the steering and give a better feel to it. And then there's a custom mode where you can set some different options yourself. There's also several layers of regeneration as well. We haven't tried that, but it will be interesting once the car's arrived in Australia to give that a bit of a go, see how the regen function works, and also generally how energy efficient this car is. It's going up against the Tesla Model 3, which is one of the best cars for energy efficiency in the market. So, you know, it's understandable why that car is a benchmark for a lot of manufacturers. It's been phenomenally popular here in Australia, and it does its job really well. Now there's a little bit of coarse tarmac here, some rumbles, things that look like they're about to merge into potholes, which obviously we're quite familiar with. Tram lines there, some more. And again, it's managing that well. If I was in a heavier SUV, then it would have to be working a lot harder to manage that transfer of weight across the tram tracks. So all in all, the engineers have done a really great job of giving this a nice, mature feel. A lot of times you'll get a car from China and it's got all of the infotainment that you expect, and the finish is really pretty impressive and the materials are nice, but the way that it drives is just not quite right, not quite ready for Australia. But I would say this car, with this level of engineering input, really feels like something where you could take it out on Australian roads and it would feel utterly at home. Well done, Mazda. If you're not wedded to the idea of an SUV, then check out the Mazda 6e when it arrives next year. I think you'll find it's a pretty practical vehicle. It'll definitely do for a couple or somebody that has occasional children on board. It's got a really big boot, it's got the area up the front in the front, and it drives really nicely too. On this first sampling, the Mazda 6e has acquitted itself pretty well, although it would be good to do a direct comparison with the Tesla Model 3, which sets the benchmark for electric sedan performance. However, the Mazda 6e has got plenty on offer, and that price point is pretty interesting. Put your name down with a dealer if you're keen to have a test drive, and you'll be one of the first to drive it when it arrives in Australia next year. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all the RACV news and motoring advice.